Welcome back to Power Platform PhD and our new series on themes and Microsoft Power Apps. We're going to go over default themes, custom themes, as well as some optimizations such as profiles and caching. We'll even go into a little bit about SVGs and how we can utilize those with themes, as well as custom components. Okay, here we are at my desktop. So the first thing we're going to do is go to make.powerapps.com, fire that up, and then click on blank app for this demo. So I'm going to say create, and then we'll just call this themes 101. I'm probably going to have a series of 3 to 4 videos. So we'll go to 201, 301. So that's the numbering convention that I'm going to use for these demos. Let's go ahead and click on create. Okay, we have a brand new project to play with. I took the liberty of just adding this little label so that we have something to play with on this screen. I didn't want you to watch me typing and whatever. So let's go ahead and talk about the themes. So if you go and click on the 3 ellipses on the left, you'll see that the first one is themes. Click on themes and you'll see that Microsoft is giving us 8 out-of-the-box themes that we can play around with. So what does that really mean? You don't really see any theming on this thing. So let's go ahead and go back to our page and we're going to insert. Let's do a rectangle. Oops. Rectangle. And you see just right away that we have this blue rectangle. So where does the blue come? Well, it's coming from this Power Apps theme. You'll be saying, well, where's that at? So if you go back to your app part here and click on theme, you'll see that this will say Power Apps theme. And Microsoft's naming convention is basically the name of the theme and then ending with the word theme. So let's go back to themes and kind of see that in place. So if I go back to themes, you'll see that it says Power Apps. So that's now Power Apps theme. If I click on Teams, it's going to say Teams theme, SharePoint, Steel, Orange, etc., etc. And as you can see, as I'm selecting these themes, it's going ahead and changing the color of that rectangle. Let's go ahead and add some more control so we can see this a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a button. Let's do this. Slide this over, we'll say about right here. Then I'm going to do a toggle. Move this over here. I'm actually going to do 2 of these. So I'm going to do Control C, Control V. Next, we'll add a slider. All right, let's move that over there. Let's see, how about, what can we add that I know? Okay, how about checkboxes? So let's do a checkbox. Oops, not on the themes. We got to do it up here. So checkbox. Let's do a couple of these again. Same like before. Let's line these up. Okay, that looks good. And let's insert. Let's do a radio group. So how about insert a radio group? Let's do this. Again, I'm not going to change anything, but we're just going to kind of have it like that. All right, that's kind of cool. So if I go ahead and click on some of these as well. So let's actually run this real quick. Okay, if I toggle this, select a radio, click on these, you can kind of see that the colors change. And if I go into the themes again and I start changing these, now you have a better visualization of how these kind of look like. So that's how powerful the themes are. So you can select a theme in one place, and then throughout your whole project, you get the benefit of automatically changing your whole color scheme. I'm going to do one last thing before I go ahead and show you the themes again, and we'll break down what actually you can do with custom theming. But let me go ahead and take this and just bear with me. We're going to do 4 of these. Move these out of the way here. And then in the very near future, we're going to go ahead and modify the code on this as well. So these out-of-the-box themes are nice and all, but of course you want to create your own themes. Maybe you're in an organization that has specific colors that you have to use for all your applications, or maybe you're just trying to make each application look different and stand out and make it look professional. So one way to do that would be to create a new theme. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Add a Theme, and we're not going to fill all this out because before we do that, I want to make a very specific point that the theming convention that Microsoft has chosen for the Power Apps is to use a monochromatic theming convention. What does that mean? So if I select a color, and this one is selected the hex code, all Fs, which is white, then you can see how based off of that hex code, it's generating 16 shades of a hue. So the hue of white, FFFFF, whatever, and then this is the palette that is generating. If I go ahead and click over here, you can see that now it's generated the 16 shades of that hue, which is ED, 2F, 2F. That's the basic part of it. So we're going to come back and circle back around here, but I want to show you two tools that can help you when you're building out new themes or whatever. So you could just do it visually like this, but I like using some of these other tools, and they're free. So this one's Canva. Now, out of the box, you can use this monochromatic, which is what Microsoft was doing with their Power Apps. So it only shows you two of the shades. So this doesn't really work too much for that, but it can help you enormously when you're starting to decide you want to go into something like analogous or tetratic. So with analogous, you're getting three colors just like tetratic, but these are more along the same side of the color wheel, the color spectrum. So if I click triadic, it's more of a triangle where it's still picking. So just to kind of show you, if I move these around, you can kind of see that the colors change. And then also you have this little bar here at the left that you can make these more pastel-y looking and take some of the saturation out or add saturation. So it's a pretty cool tool. We'll probably look at this again in the future when we build out a video on how to build out a theme, on a custom one that has either 2 or 3. So we'll look at this again. The other one I wanted to show you was this Colors and Fonts website. It's pretty cool. They also have this monochrome palette, which is, we're definitely going to use that because that's very flexible on how many of the hues you can choose. And if you go back to Microsoft, you can see that there's 16. So if I decided I wanted to go ahead and pick a color, I can go ahead and click on this and say, hey, I want, let's say, we'll go some here on this spectrum, pick a purple color, and then I can even bump this up to 16. And then, so now I'm like copying and pasting these hex codes into my Power App theme. And I'll show you how to do that in the future. But like if you mouse over these, you can click on it, and by clicking on it, we can modify this. But before we get, and that's like, that's more advanced part of really nailing down changing these individual ones. But we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to show you just what the default theme could look like out of the box. So let's call this one, and let's go with something like a pinkish, I don't know, make this kind of Valentine's-y looking. We'll call this Valentine's since we're in February. And actually, I'll do theme just like Microsoft does. So Valentine's theme. All right, let's select, let's select Georgia. So this torsion and vibrancy, if you look at this generated palette, you can kind of see how this affects that. All right, so you can kind of eyeball, see how you would like it to kind of show up. So I usually don't mess with this too much. I keep it around the default. And then the vibrancy is sort of the same thing. So you can see how it kind of subdues it or makes it really pop out. But we'll leave it, we'll leave it back on 0. Again, this hex and RGB, all this is based off of these color pickers. So you can use the little slider thing here. You can pick it, and then it just generates. And then there's also a preview at the bottom, very similar to what I showed you on that, making that screen. I actually like the screen because then I don't have to scroll up and down when I modify a color and pick it or whatever. So, but we're gonna go ahead and save this. We'll create it, and you'll see that it now pops over here, and it's called Valentine's theme. And if you go back to our app, you can see under theme, it's now Valentine's. And if you go back to themes, we can start moving around. You can see the Valentine's. Okay, so now that we've kind of created one, let's go back in and modify it. You can do that by clicking on the 3 ellipses. Go ahead and click on this and say edit. You can also delete it as you saw in that pop-up, but we're not going to delete it. We're going to modify this color because it's kind of more purpley than it is pinkish or whatever. It's not the hue that I was really looking for. So I'm going to go back to my little colors and fonts here, kind of mess around, see if I can find something a little bit more on the pink. Let's move this around a little bit, maybe something like, I think I kind of like this one. It's getting a little too far into the red. So how about maybe about right here? Move it a little bit up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this value, go back into our Power Apps, make that the default. All right. So I'm kind of liking that. Again, I can mess around with the torsion and stuff. Does this get more red? Does it get saturated? Or Let's see, maybe I'll leave that the way it is, but let me look at the vibrancy. Okay. Again, I think I'll probably leave it at default. This looks pretty good. You can see that as it goes from darker to lighter, this is going to be very important when you're starting to use controls, because some of these are some key things here are very important to understand, like how you can select these. And so I guess we'll just talk about that right now. It always shows you this little pop-up version of the first one, and that's the primary. So you can see if I mouse over, it says primary color, background colors for primary buttons, and for active selected states and input fields. And as you move over, it gives you a name. So ladder 10, ladder 20, 30, 40, 50, all the way down to ladder 80. Then going the other way, you have darker 10 up to darker 70. All right. So let's see what that kind of, let's see how we can use that. So let's say I go here and I click on this and I have the fill. Click on fill, you see that this is app theme.colors.primary. Oh, okay. So let's go ahead and modify this other one. So, and again, looking at these themes over here on the left-hand side, you can also see how it's kind of generated this for you. So Power Apps, it goes from dark to left. I can tell you right now that these four are very specific and it's auto-generated. So let's go ahead and if I go on this one, and we're going to change this. We're going to leave this primary. We're going to go this one and make this one darker. So we're going to go like darker 20, darker 20. We're going to go ahead and make this lighter 20. Oops, go to fill. Lighter 20. And then lighter 50. And I picked those four very specifically because these are the actual ones that you'll see as Microsoft, even with your custom ones. You see, well, how does it generate these little four boxes at the bottom? And that's what it's using. It's using darker 20, primary, lighter 20, and lighter 50. So the best way to show you this by using an example that how these four kind of show up using those very four specific, the darker 20, the primary, the lighter 20, and the lighter 50, is to go ahead and just modify those. So let's go and we'll keep the primary the way it is, but let's go to darker 20. I don't know, let's pick something in the blue side of things. We'll make it kind of bright so it pops out. We'll look at the lighter 20, do the same thing, more on the green, and then the lighter 50, let's go maybe on the yellowish side of things. And then I'm going to save. And as you can see over here, now it's kind of changed. So depending on those four values that you put in there, it's going to show up in your little pop-up. Again, this is internal, so you will only see these. But in the future video, again, I'm going to make one where we can create a custom theme. We're going to have our own little buttons and our own little graphic that's going to dynamically pull this through SVGs or whatever. So that's for a future video. But I just wanted to show you that these are the four values that are very specific to what they show on the custom themes on the inside. So let's say after viewing, you made some modifications like, oh man, I really don't like this color scheme. You can always click on edit again. You can delete it or start all over, or just go ahead and edit what you had. And again, on your generated palette, since we individually went in and changed these, I can click on this little reset to default colors, and then I'll pop back to the way it was before. Click on save, and there you have it. Well, that's it for the first video. Next time we'll cover some complex scenarios as well as some optimizations. I hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.